It was one of those heavy afternoons on the city, bus windows streaked with dried rain, engine humming low like it was just as tired as the people inside. The usual crowd, students half asleep in headphones, office workers scrolling through their phones, and a couple of elderly folks staring into nothing like they'd seen too much of everything already. Among them sat 17-year-old Jaden, backpack between his legs, hoodie up, head down. Just another ride home from school, nothing special. Jaden was the quiet kind. A thinker, always a little detached from the noise of the world, like his body. Was here, but his mind was always somewhere deeper. Being a black teen in a city that judged too fast and listened too slow had taught him to stay invisible when he could. He wasn't angry about it anymore. It was just how it was. But then she stepped on. She looked like she didn't belong here. Not because of her skin, she was white. Sure, but that wasn't it. She looked fragile. Not just because of her pregnant belly, which she cradled with both arms, like she was holding the world, but because of her eyes. Wide, glossy, like someone on the edge of something they couldn't name. She was maybe mid-30s, maybe younger. Dressed neat but not expensive, and clearly trying not to make a scene. There were no empty seats. Jaden noticed her right away, and without thinking, he stood up. "You can take this," he said quietly, motioning with his hand. He didn't make a show of it, didn't look around for approval. Just did what felt right. She hesitated. Like ... really hesitated. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something. But instead she just nodded, managed a grateful smile, and sat down slowly. Everyone else kept scrolling. Like kindness was background noise they couldn't hear anymore. Jaden didn't think much of it. He grabbed one of the metal poles, leaned into the sway of the bus, and let his thoughts drift again. What he didn't see was the way she kept glancing at him, or how tightly she was gripping something in her jacket pocket. About 5 stops later, just as she was getting up to leave, she turned toward him again. Her face was pale now, almost shaky, but her eyes had settled. Determined. She reached into her pocket and pressed something into Jaden's hand, a folded note. No envelope, no explanation. Just a whisper as she passed. "You need to read this, but not yet. Wait till you get off." And then she was gone. Jaden stood there, confused, the note crinkling slightly in his fist. He looked around, wondering if anyone else had seen what just happened. No one had. The bus moved on like nothing had changed. But something had now. Here's where it gets weird. Jaden waited. Got off 3 stops later, walked home, and sat on his bed, backpack still on. The note felt heavy in his palm, even though it weighed almost nothing. His fingers trembled just a little as he opened it. The handwriting was rushed but clear. And the first line? "If you're reading this, I might already be dead." He blinked. Reread it. His heart jumped into his throat. The letter went on, and what it said? It was the kind of thing that could change your entire understanding of human biology, of the human body, of what we are really capable of. And it all started with that one simple act. One teen, one seat, and one moment that somehow unlocked. A truth so deep, so terrifying, and so full of potential, that it would leave Jaden questioning everything about his own body and what it was evolving into. But that's just the beginning. Jaden just stared at the letter in his hands, like it might vanish if he blinked. The words were burned into his mind. "If you're reading this, I might already be dead." Who writes something like that and gives it to a random teenager? On a bus? He looked at the paper again. The handwriting was definitely from someone rushing, but it wasn't messy. It was controlled panic. The lines were packed tightly, no space wasted, as if the writer had to get it all out before something or someone stopped her. Jaden read the next line slowly. "You did something just now that most people wouldn't." have done, you noticed. That means you're one of them. His mouth went dry. One of who? He read on. I can't tell you everything here. It's not safe, but there's something inside you. Inside all of us. It's waking up in certain people who feel more, who see more. I've spent years trying to understand it. And now, I think it's happening to me, or maybe to the baby. Jaden swallowed hard. The note wasn't long, but every word pulled him deeper into something he didn't understand. The kind of thing that didn't belong in real life, but in some weird sci-fi show. Except this wasn't a show. It was real. She had looked real, scared, desperate, and she'd given the note to him. He turned the paper over, but that was it. No name, no. Number, no. In case you want to talk. Just a strange message in the sense that something big was going on. Something way bigger than him. He didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, Jaden sat across from his best friend Malik at their usual lunch spot outside the school cafeteria. He'd been thinking about the letter all morning, trying to decide whether to tell someone. Malik was the only person who wouldn't call him crazy right away. So you're telling me, Malik said, slowly peeling the wrapper off his sandwich. This pregnant lady just gave you a note about secret biology powers? Jaden nodded, but his voice was low. I know how it sounds. Malik squinted at him. Sounds like she watched too many conspiracy videos. Jaden pulled the note out of his pocket and handed it over. Malik read it once, then again. When he looked up, his face had changed. Not laughing, not skeptical, just ... unsettled. This is weird, Nan. Like, really weird. What does she mean by something inside you? Like a virus or some superpower or what? I don't know, Jaden said. But she wasn't joking around. She looked ... serious, like she didn't have much time. Malik folded the note carefully and handed it back. So what now? You gonna go looking for her? Jaden hesitated. He hadn't thought that far ahead. It had only been a day, and already the whole thing felt like it was dragging him down a path he wasn't sure he wanted to walk. But there was also this pull in his gut, something restless. A need to know. I think I have to, he said. After school, Jaden started retracing his steps from the day before. He rode the same bus at the same time, hoping maybe she'd show up again. She didn't, but he kept riding it for the next 2 days, watching every face that got on. Nothing. But on the third day, something changed. It was late, and he was the only one in the back of the bus. The seat she had taken was still empty, and he kept glancing at it like a ghost might reappear. That's when he saw the old man. He hadn't noticed him bored, but there he was, sitting a few rows ahead, staring straight at Jaden. Not casually. Not like people usually do. It was the kind of stare that didn't blink. Jaden looked away, then back again, still staring. And then the man smiled. A strange, knowing smile. Like he knew something Jaden didn't. Jaden's heart kicked up. He got off 2 stops early, pretending it was his usual stop. But as the bus pulled away, he turned and saw the man still looking at him through the window, still smiling. The next morning, Jaden woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. Not pain, exactly, but pressure. Like something was humming underneath his skin. He sat up too fast, and the world tilted for a second. Then it stopped. He looked at his hands. Nothing unusual. Same hands. Same skin, but something felt off. He shook it off and got dressed for school. Day passed like molasses, every clock hand dragging, every class feeling more pointless than the last. All he could think about was the letter, the man on the bus, and the pressure in his chest that still hadn't gone away. That night, the dreams started. They were wild, vivid, not like regular dreams. In one, he was floating in a giant void of stars, but he could hear things' voices speaking in rhythms, like a language he almost understood. In another, he was standing in front of a mirror, but the reflection wasn't moving right. It was him, but not him. Something inside the reflection was watching him. He woke up sweating. The pressure in his chest had spread, like a low-frequency vibration in his bones. Like his body was trying to tell him something it didn't have words for. Over the next few days, things got weirder. He started noticing little details, like he could hear people's heartbeats if he focused, or feel the tension in a room before anyone even spoke. Once, he knew someone was about to sneeze before they did. He felt it like the energy shifted right before. It happened. Malik noticed too. "Dude," he said one afternoon, "you're not normal right now. You're zoning out, but then you answer questions in class without even hearing them. What's happening to you?" Jaden shook his head. "I don't know." And that was the truth. He really didn't. But the letter had said something was waking up. And whatever it was, it had already started. That night, a package arrived on his doorstep. No return address. No name. Just a small box wrapped in brown paper. Inside? A flash drive. Jaden stared at it for a long time before plugging it into his laptop. One single video file. He clicked it. And the first image that popped up? The woman from the bus, looking straight into the camera, eyes full of fear, and behind her, the sound of something knocking on a door. Something not human. Then the screen went black. Jaden's blood turned to ice. He was in it now, and there was no turning back. Jaden couldn't stop watching the video. He replayed it 3 times that night, each time hoping to catch something he missed. But it was always the same. The woman from the bus, sitting in what looked like a small, dim apartment, talking fast. Like she knew the video was her only shot. Her voice was low and shaky. "If you've gotten this far," she said, "you're probably already feeling it. That hum in your chest? The dreams? The headaches? It's not in your head. It's real. And it's not a disease. It's something older. Something buried in us." She paused like she heard something outside the room, then leaned in closer. "Don't know why it's waking up in people like you. But once it starts, you can't stop it. You need to find others. There are more of you, more of us. But they're watching now. I didn't think they'd find me so fast." Jaden's breath caught in his throat. That's when the sound came. A loud bang like someone pounding on her door. Hard. She flinched, but didn't scream. Just looked into the camera one last time. Don't trust anyone wearing the white rings. The screen went black. Jaden pulled the flash drive out like it might burn him. The white rings. He didn't know what it meant yet, but he was sure of one thing. This wasn't some random woman losing her mind. She knew exactly what she was talking about. She'd found something, some secret hidden in human biology, and now she was on the run. Or worse, and for some reason she'd chosen him. For the next few days, Jaden tried to act normal. But everything around him started to feel wrong. The city didn't feel like the same place. People's faces on the bus, in school, on the street, they felt distant. Like they were part of a stage, and he was the only one who had realized the script wasn't real. Even Malik was starting to look at him differently. "You're scaring me, bro," he said one night as they sat in Jaden's room. "You're not eating, you barely sleep, and you're talking like there's some secret science experiment going on inside your body." Jaden didn't answer right away. Instead, he pulled out the flash drive and handed it over. Malik watched the video. In silence. When it ended, he didn't speak for a long time. Finally, he said, "Okay, so if this is real, what are you gonna do?" Jaden leaned back against the wall, eyes unfocused. "She said there are others. I need to find them." But he had no idea how. That night, another dream hit, stronger, more vivid. He wasn't floating this time. He was running through narrow, shifting corridors made of light and shadow. Something was behind him, huge and cold, but never fully seen. And ahead of him, there were doors, endless doors, each marked with strange symbols he didn't understand, but somehow recognized. One of the doors had a white ring on it. He woke up gasping. Jayden couldn't wait anymore. He needed answers. The only place he knew to start was where it all began. The bus route. Maybe someone else had seen the woman. Maybe she was still out there, so he started asking questions. He talked to bus drivers, people at stops, even a woman who worked the corner store near the bus line. Most gave him nothing but confused looks. But then, one driver paused when Jayden showed her a photo he'd pulled from the video. "Yeah, I've seen her," she said. "Couple weeks back. She used to ride a few stops after yours. Always alone. Kept to herself. She looked, I don't know, like she'd been through something." Jayden's heart jumped. "Do you know where she got off?" The driver frowned. "Near that old building on 5th. You know, the one they shut down years ago. Used to be a hospital or something." That was enough. Jayden didn't tell Malik. He didn't want anyone else getting dragged into this. He grabbed his backpack, tucked the note and flash drive inside, and headed toward 5th Street. The building wasn't hard to find. It was massive and gray, with boarded-up windows and weeds growing through cracks in the sidewalk. The kind of place people crossed the street to avoid, but Jayden walked straight up to it. The gate was chained, but someone had already cut it thin. Metal links torn apart like they'd been twisted by hand, not tools. Jayden slipped through and stepped into this overgrown courtyard. Every part of his body screamed at him to turn back, but he did single quotes deed inside. The place smelled like dust and rot. The air was thick and still. He moved slowly, flashlight in one hand. The hum in his chest, now a steady throb. The deeper he went, the stronger it got, like a signal, pulling him toward something he couldn't explain. Then he heard. It voices faint, just ahead. He crept toward the sound and peeked through a half-open door. Inside were 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman. They weren't dressed in lab coats or military gear, just regular clothes. But each of them wore a simple white ring on their index finger. Jayden froze. The woman from the video had warned him. Don't trust anyone wearing the white rings. They were talking about something. He couldn't hear it all, but one sentence cut through the air clear as a bell. He's active now. The signal's coming from the city. We find him, or they will. Jayden backed away, heart pounding. They were looking for him. And worse, someone else was. As he turned to run, his foot hit a loose board. It cracked loud inside the room. All 3 heads snapped toward the sound. Jayden ran. He didn't look back, didn't care if they followed. He just ran until his lungs burned. The city lights came back into view, and the hum in his chest became a roar. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't alone, and he had no idea how deep this thing really went. Jayden didn't stop running until his legs gave out beneath him. He collapsed behind a dumpster 2 blocks from the old hospital, chest heaving, sweat running down his spine. The hum inside him wasn't quiet anymore. It felt like a full-blown vibration now, pulsing through every bone in his body, like a low-level earthquake no one else could feel. His hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something deeper, something waking up. He had no idea what would have happened if those people in the white rings had caught him. He didn't plan to find out. But he knew one thing for sure now. This wasn't random. Whatever was happening to his body, to his senses, to his dreams, it was part of something bigger, something organized, and maybe something ancient. Back at home, Jayden didn't bother sleeping. Instead, he locked his door, pulled the blinds, and dug through everything in his room, It might help him figure out what he'd gotten into. He went back through the flash drive, slowing the video frame by frame. That's when he noticed something he'd missed before. When the woman turned slightly to the side, a symbol was tattooed on the inside of her wrist. It was faint, like it had been burned in instead of inked. A circle with 3 lines crossing, through it almost like a target. Jayden drew it on paper and stared at it for a long time. Then he pulled out his phone and started searching Dot. It took hours, but finally something came up. A forgotten research thread on a deep science forum, buried under threads about ancient human biology, dormant genetic codes, and so-called activation events. Most of it sounded like pseudoscience, fringe theories. But one comment stood out. The signal activates those with a dormant strand. Not everyone hears it, but those who do. Change. The mark appears when the first threshold is crossed. Jayden looked down at his wrist dot. It was blank. For now, he scrolled deeper, reading post after post about people experiencing strange dreams, emotional surges, intense empathy, even moments where time seemed to slow. One story came from a woman in Colorado who said she could see the future seconds before it happened. Another from a kid in Brazil who claimed his bones felt like they were vibrating whenever he got near electricity. All of them had felt it, the hum, the pressure, the pull, and all of them were being watched. Jayden couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Not just for him, but for everyone like him. The ones waking up. Whoever the people with the white rings were, they weren't just watching. They were hunting. He needed help. Against his instincts, he called Malik. "I need you to meet me," he said, his voice low. "Somewhere quiet, away from your house. Don't tell anyone." There was silence on the line. "Are you in trouble?" Malik asked. Jayden paused. "I think we both might be." They met at the old community park near the edge of the neighborhood. It was past midnight, the air cool and still. The city lights were a dull orange glow in the distance. Jayden told him everything about the hospital, the people with rings, a symbol on the woman's wrist, the messages buried online Dot. And when he finished, Malik just looked at him. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "that there's a secret group tracking people with some kind of genetic mutation, and you're one of them?" Jayden nodded. "I think so. Bro, this sounds insane." "I know," Jayden said, his voice steady. "But I'm not making this up. I feel it. Something in me is changing. I can sense things before they happen. I can feel people. Like really. Feel them." Malik looked away, silent. Then finally, "You're not the only one." Jayden stared. Malik pulled up his sleeve. There it was. The same mark. Faint, circular, 3 crossing lines. "I didn't know what it was," Malik said. "Started showing up 2 nights ago. I thought it was a rash or something. But I've been having these dreams too. Weird stuff. Like I'm inside someone else's mind." Jayden's breath caught. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I thought I was losing it," Malik said. "And now, I'm not sure I haven't." Jayden stepped back, the weight of it all hitting him harder now. He wasn't alone. The signal, whatever it was spreading. But before either of them could speak again, they heard it. Footsteps. Coming fast. They turned toward the far end of the park, where a figure was moving through the trees. Not running, but walking with purpose. Then another figure. And another. Jayden squinted. In the dark, it was hard to make out their faces, but he could see the rings. White. 3 of them. Maybe more behind. Malik whispered, "We need to move. Now." They ran, hearts pounding, breath sharp in the cool night air. They didn't head home. They didn't go to familiar places. They ran until their legs couldn't carry them and ducked into a storm drain under the edge of an old industrial lot. They stayed there in the dark, listening. Jayden pressed his hand to his chest. The hum was stronger now, and he could feel something else to a heat spreading across his wrist. He looked down. The symbol was there, glowing faintly. It wasn't over. It was only beginning. The glowing symbol on Jaden's wrist faded slowly, but the heat lingered under his skin, like a warning that hadn't fully passed. He sat against the damp concrete of the storm drain wall, breathing hard, listening to the distant footsteps. Above, heavy, deliberate, getting closer. Malik crouched beside him, barely making a sound. They didn't speak. They didn't move. Just waited. When the footsteps finally faded into silence, Jaden still didn't relax, because something had shifted. Not just in his body, not just in the air. It was like reality itself had bent slightly, like they'd crossed some invisible line and couldn't go back. Did yours glow too? Jaden whispered. Malik shook his head. Not yet. Jaden nodded slowly. That made him nervous. He didn't know if the glowing meant something good or something bad. All he knew was that it had felt like a door opened inside him, like something behind his eyes had just clicked. They waited another hour before crawling out of the storm drain. The streets were quiet, but the silence felt off. Too perfect, like the city was holding its breath. They didn't head home. Jaden couldn't shake the feeling that the people in white rings had eyes everywhere. Instead, they found shelter in the back of a shuttered mechanic's shop, a place they used to hang around as kids when the world still made sense. Malik slid an old metal barrel across the floor to block the entrance while Jaden sat and unzipped his backpack, taking out the note, the flash drive, and his cracked phone. That's when the second twist hit. Malik was pacing quietly when he suddenly stopped, pulled out his phone, and showed Jaden the screen. You need to see this. Jaden leaned in. It was a news article. Unidentified pregnant woman found dead in abandoned warehouse. Jaden's blood turned cold. He took the phone from Malik and read the short report twice. The body was found the night before, barely 2 miles from where he'd seen her on the bus. No ID, no family identified. Just one sentence near the bottom that made his stomach flip. Authorities say she was clutching a folded piece of paper with strange markings. Jaden's breath hitched. That had to be her. The woman who'd given him the note. The one who'd said she might already be dead. But why now? And why leave another message if she knew she was being hunted? And then it clicked. She wasn't running, Jaden said quietly. She was setting something up. Malik frowned. What do you mean? Jaden looked at the paper in his hands. I think this is part of a bigger plan. Like, she knew she wouldn't make it, but she needed someone to carry it forward. Someone like us. The hum in his chest spiked again, sharper this time. He winced and grabbed his ribs. You okay? Malik asked. Jaden nodded. But he wasn't. Something was happening. Inside. Fast. And then it got worse. Malik's phone buzzed again. A video this time, sent from an anonymous number. No subject, no message. Just a clip. Jaden opened it. At first. It was dark. Just a camera feed, static in the background. Then it sharpened. A room. A man tied to a chair. Blood on the floor. Jaden didn't recognize him until the camera panned, and he saw the wrist. The same symbol, burned into the skin. Someone like them. The video cut out before anything else happened, but the message was clear. They weren't just being hunted. Others had been caught, maybe experimented on. Or worse. The stakes had just gone from survival to something much bigger and darker. Jaden stood up. We're running out of time. Malik nodded. So what do we do? Jaden thought for a second. His mind was spinning, but something the woman had said in the original video echoed in his brain. Find the others. If they were more like them, people with the mark, people who had heard the signal, then maybe together they could push back. Maybe even figure out what was happening to their biology. to their minds, to their very sense of being human. Jaden pulled the note back out and examined it again, this time with fresh eyes. He noticed something he hadn't before, an indentation. Beneath the ink, almost invisible, like someone had written another message, but didn't press hard enough to leave it clearly. He tilted it under the light, and words shimmered faintly into view. Look for the Black Tower. Top floor. Only those marked can enter. Jaden's breath caught in his throat. The Black Tower wasn't a myth. It was real. A building that had been under construction for years, but never finished. Everyone in the city had heard the rumors that it was owned by a company that didn't exist, that people went in and never came out. That's where they needed to go. But they wouldn't be the only ones headed there, because if the Marked could find it, the people in the white rings definitely knew about it too. Jaden looked at Malik. You ready? Malik smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. Not even a little. But they both knew this wasn't about being ready. It was about being. The only ones left to finish what she started, and the clock was ticking.